Yeah.
What questions have you got?
Well, I kind of just want to ask you how you got started and what you do here on the tour, how you
How I
make it
got
work.
started where? In the business.
Yeah.
I was a musician.
Okay.
So when I was 18, I was going to college, and I was offered a position with a chap in Australia.
You were going to college in Australia.
In Australia, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it was playing bass for a guy called Kamal.
Okay.
And he probably wouldn't even remember. He's more than likely 100 years old now. But he was very famous. And it was a reading gig, and it was with symphony orchestra players. So that's how I got started.
How did you actually get that job? Like, how did you go from just...
I lucked into it.
You lucked in?
Yeah, I had no idea. I was in the right guy at the right place at the right time. And because I was a college student, I could tour.
Okay. So was it like your summer months when you weren't in school that you were able to do that, or you just sort of like took time off school and then got back to it?
No, that was actually in a period where I took time off. But then after that, I joined a band and we used to tour with AC/DC.
Oh wow.
So that's forever ago.
That's pretty cool.
That's long before they left Australia. And then the longest story is, I basically left the music industry for a long time, and then I needed some extra cash, so I formed a little band and played in a hotel for 5 years.
In Australia
In
still?
Australia, oh yeah.
Okay.
I met Kevin in 1996. I had invested a lot of money into a theatre production of, what was it called? Pirates of Penzance. And it was really famous in Australia at the time. So I did a dry hire to those guys, and I had nothing to do, so there was a show on called Big Day Out, which is a large festival in Australia.
And that's music?
That's music. And I was asked if I had a bus license because I was doing nothing. I had a 22-seat bus they wanted me to drive around. And I actually was looking after Rage Against the Machine. So when it finished, when Big Day Out finished, they had sideshows, and they had a band called Porno for Pyros. And I had to pick up the production manager, and it was Kevin Lyman. So Kevin and I formed a friendship really quick, and he was telling me about this tour that he had just put on, called the Vans Warped Tour. It was the 1995 version. It's the only one I've never done. So he gave me a card and said to give him a call. So I called his house maybe 5 or 6 times. And at the end, I wasn't going to call him. My brother talked me into it. It's more like, he's never there. So I called one more time. He was there, and he was like, sure, come on over. Because the main thing, and he'd probably forgotten about it, is we were looking at that time to see if we could bring the Warped Tour to Australia. So I really wasn't coming to help or anything. I was coming to have a look at it and see if I could be of any help to bringing it over. Now the funny thing is, when I drove Kevin around in the bus, prior to that, I'd driven a bunch of Australian promoters, including Michael Chugg. And Chuggy and I still remain friends to this day, but in 1997, it must have been, I called Chuggy and asked him if he was interested in putting the Warped Tour on. And of course he jumped at it. So
in Australia,
in
that's
Australia.
still you were thinking?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's how the beginning of Warped got to Australia, and Chuggy was a promoter. Well, he wasn't actually the first promoter, but it was the company he worked for. Him and Michael Gadinsky. Frontier Touring. And then, Kevin and I worked so well together that he offered me the job as production manager.
Over here?
Over here. So
So Kevin was never really interested in bringing it to Australia?
Oh no, he was interested.
He was?
Yeah, we went worldwide for a while. We went to Australia and Europe.
In like 96, 97?
No, 96 is the first one I did. Australia we did a teaser in Technology Park in, I think it was Redfern in Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
And it was tied in with a music convention that Chuggy was putting on. And it was a one-day event, and we had a bunch of bands, a bunch of Australian bands, Face to Face came over from the US,
Mm-hmm.
and that was 97. And then 98 was the first time that we had the band's Warped Tour in Australia. I had to build motorcycle ramps,
Uh-huh.
which was quite funny.
Motorcycle ramps?
Oh yeah.
Were people riding their motorcycle bikes?
No, we had what later became the Crusty Demons of Dirt. They were doing a motorcycle portion. It was the first year I think we had motocross, was 1998.
Oh, like dirt bikes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was like how this has the skate ramp.
Yeah.
That had like the dirt
No.
biking.
We had skate ramp. We've had dirt bikes. You know, the Crusty Demons of Dirt, or whoever, Metal Militia, whatever you want to call them
And
these
the
days.
music too, right? A lot.
We've had the Balls of Steel, which is motorcycles in a steel ball.
Oh wow.
We've
okay,
had the Human Cannonball.
Mm-hmm.
We've had every circus act you could imagine.
Mm-hmm. And that was incorporated into the festival that you were doing in Australia?
No, that was our festival back in the early days.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And we didn't have as many stages then, when I first started we had 2 major stages and one that was called Surf Compound or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have so many stages now, so many bands. I think in the early days we had 200 people on the road. Now we have, who knows, 960. You can go out and count them one day. It could be more or less.
Yeah. So then, eventually you came back over here to work with Kevin on the Warped Tour?
I go backwards and forwards. I've worked with Kevin on many things. The Warped Tour, we did Pledge of Allegiance with Slipknot, Rammstein, System of a Down, Mudvayne. We used to do what was the other festival we did? It was a Latino festival called the Watcher Tour. We had Juanes, Catholic Cuba, Molotov, Lale. We did Sprite Liquid Mix with Jay-Z, 311, NERD, and many other bands. Roots, I think, were on that. Nappy Roots or something. Black Alicious. Other tours I've done, Rockstar Taste of Chaos, another Lyman thing. We did that worldwide and all through the US and Canada. It's fantastic. The Used, My Chemical Romance, 30 Seconds from Mars. I've done a lot of projects with him. There are a few.
So now when it's not Warped Tour, do you work in his office?
No.
Or
no,
what do you do when it's not Warped Tour?
I'm actually a contractor.
Okay.
So I do lots of other things. I used to work for Jack Johnson and Ben Harper. That was like 5 years on and off. I sort of shuffle around, whatever, promoter work. I have my own business.
So can you talk about what you do every day on Warped Tour, what your role is out here?
It doesn't really vary that much. It can vary from year to year. We have such a defined time we have to set up and get doors. Essentially what I do is, and I've never done these in the past, but I'll give you an example today. Here's a bit of a site map. So I give this to my truck driver.
There's like a main truck driver guy?
I have a lead truck driver and a lead bus driver.
Okay.
So after I get doors every day, we'll have a meeting. And I decide
you mean
where...
the time of doors?
Yeah.
When you find that out?
Afterwards. No. After I open doors in the venue,
Okay.
we'll have lunch, and then they'll come in and we'll have a meeting.
For the next day?
For the next day.
Okay, gotcha.
And I
I was gonna say it's
I
kind of
draw.
late.
I draw some of these maps up. They're not done in advance, really, and they're always subject to change.
Okay.
So,
right, like so throughout the day.
yeah, so I'll tell him where I need things to be parked.
Thought we were gonna do a change switch around.
I'll tell him where things need to be parked. I'll tell the lead bus driver where the buses, what area they're going to go in. But when we get there, it's a little shoot from the hip. So I'll find out how many tickets we sold, how many we may end up selling, and then I'll adjust the site accordingly.
So do you actually go outside in the morning with the plan? You
No.
know where everything's going? You're not that, there's a different person out there that's doing that?
No, that's me. I'm also the site coordinator.
Okay.
I walk out with my trusty compass,
Nice, that's the way to go.
and that's it. The compass, I don't even look at the map because it doesn't make any difference. It's just really an idea for him on where to place the trucks so they're not in my way.
So these, I'm just gonna hold this up a little too. So these orange, are those these are the
They're names.
stages?
They're names of stages or trucks or,
And the blue is the truck.
yeah, but
So this is a rough outline of
that's
where.
rough. I actually mark the distances up.
Okay. And
I mark them up by pacing it. So,
outside.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
But that's a day of thing, right?
Yeah,
You
even
can't
if
guess
I
it.
told you how many paces, you can't even measure it because my pace is different to yours.
That's right.
So yeah, and I find out, I have different coordinators and stage managers in different areas, in every area actually, and I tell them what sort of distances they need to maintain and what sort of walkways they need to maintain. So we don't always hit the mark, but then again, what else can you do in 2 hours?
Right. So every day, there's safety precautions on, is that what the
There's
distance
safety.
is about? There you have to like certain
Well, no,
amount.
yeah, there's safety everywhere. You have to comply with local regulations, and you've got to comply with common sense, which it's just common sense. The fire marshal may want to drive a truck through there at some point, so you can't drive it through if it's only 6 feet wide.
And then when you're looking at that, do you take into consideration the amount of kids that are there every day?
That's how I said it. I said it with a view to how many kids are going to be there and what impact the stages will, what impact they will have on the stages. Obviously, if a stage has 200 or 300 kids in front of it, they don't need as much space as one that has 5,000 kids.
And then do you go as specific as like, this is a band who has their hometown show, they're gonna have this many kids? We need
Not
to make
really.
an adjustment, or not that specific?
No, because generally, any of these stages, they have a minimum number and a maximum. And everybody has a hometown show every now and then. So, like Ernie Ball could have 1,000 kids in front of it, or he may have 100. But I've always got to set it for 1,000.
Got it.
But within the realms of safety and within the realms of the location, today we're in a big old dusty lot, so you won't get as much pressure in the outside lot as what you would as if it was asphalt or grass, because it's dusty and it's hot.
What do you mean by pressure in a lot?
Not as many kids, not as many patrons will go outside today and stay outside. Whereas if it was a nice cool day and it was grass and asphalt, they may stay out there longer. But we're using the amphitheater as one of our main stages, so that'll attract probably 40% to 50% of the audience at any one time.
Gotcha. So that makes sense. It's very interesting learning about how this works. Because everything is different, right? And you're switching around some days too,
Well,
right?
I had to switch this today because I had a stage that broke down. Did I say that before?
No.
Oh, right. I had a stage that broke down, and there was no way of knowing what time they were going to be here, so I had to shuffle the deck in my head so that I could bring them in even after doors. But I could bring them in so that they were behind the fenced off area, the backstage area, but then readjust the fence once they were in and set up, so it was within the festival compound.
Got it. That's awesome. I don't think people know about like the little details on this and how it works.
Well, they probably don't. Everybody
you just
has.
go out there and it's all.
They have their idea of their 10 by 10 space, and that's where they live for the day.
Right. Can you talk about, like, I heard that you position the stages so that the sun isn't in the musician's
No,
eyes. That's all the compass?
That's the compass, north-south, like
Uh-huh.
a tennis court. But it's not just north-south, you know. It's the sun sets plus or minus, depending on what time of year. So it may set in the west, but it won't be due west. It might be, you know, plus 5 or 10 degrees.
Gotcha.
Or it might be minus 5 or 10 if it's in the winter. So the sun actually sets on an arc.
Well,
But
yeah.
you knew that, didn't you?
No, I don't
You
think
didn't?
many people do.
No,
Do
even the
people?
Mayans, the Mayans used to plant their crops,
Gotcha.
and in their houses they would have 3 holes, and it would tell them when the summer solstice in the winter.
So you gotta be you're pretty in tune with what's going on nature-wise then too, so you can
Not
sense
really.
that. No.
Go to Kerry. So we'll just call it. Go to Kerry.
Saw the car has a box up here in this Bud Light trailer.
Copy that.
So we can wrap it up, I guess. Just, do you think?
The other thing too that I do is I do a thing called the production rider, and I do that in advance. That's everything that I need to make the show work. But I have to call all the promoters and
At each venue?
do what they get. But really, I just have a one sheet. So if you're as dumb as punch, you just give me what's on here and walk away.
Gotcha. So let me see. I don't have my glasses on.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like it's like a little bit of an itinerary type thing.
Well, no, it's times and requirements.
Gotcha.
Simple as that.
Nice and easy. Keeping it
That
organized.
is everything that's in here, which I actually have to go through an advance show right now. That's what I was doing
Right.
before you came in.
Well, I'll leave you soon. I guess just, do you see yourself doing this? Can you see yourself not doing this?
Sure. I was an accountant for years, so and you know I could play music if I really wanted to, but there's nothing worse than seeing some broken down old hack. You're trying to entertain people. It's a young man's game.
There you go for Mike.
All right.
You gotta feel sorry for
Hey, partner,
the older chaps.
Were you trying to get a hold of me?
Well, thank you very much for
No problem.
doing this. I will leave you back to your work.
Love the
You got a
work.
lot to do, so
Thank you for your time.
maybe I'll see you at some point again.
And good luck to the Boys and Girls Club of America.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for doing this.